My name is Simon. Before I continue, I'd like to address that I have a lot of more information than current in this video just alone. There'll be a lot of info here regarding what we're here to get to do. But it's important that you understand that there is a huge fieldwork behind this information containing even more thread sound. Thank you. So this video is about a simple thing. It's about pedophilia being the meaning of life. Bingo. And this is proven. Sorry, not just that we have the meaning of life, but also that the meaning of life is, pedophilia. And that's really interesting because, neither has been known to science for a long while, if ever, not on our planet. And I would like to elaborate on this so you can understand how and where things fits in for you as a victim or as a predator. And this story is going to be long, but I'm going to try to highlight and junction it. So you have the immediate highlights and so forth. We're going to have to start a long way back, about 14 billion years ago, at the beginning of the universe. So that's a very short jump from there to the first of the early history. That, there was a Big Bang explosion. And right now we are at 12:00:15-ish in transversal rotation from the center of the explosion direction based on twists. In here, in the Milky Way, in the solar system, the Earth formed a long while ago. I can't remember how many billion years ago, but life formed at around 3.5 to 1.5 billion years ago. This event shortly was lightning through the atmosphere. There was water on the planet. There was no life. It was just soil and water and atmosphere. And this created a lot of options for lightning, which took place over millions, if not billions of years before the first moment of life, or the first aspect of life were found. By lightning striking into the atmosphere, fluid, lightning, fire, oxygen, atmosphere, water, and soil. And what happened was that this lightning became a virus. After many, many attempts, it required a lot of factors for this individual to become our forefather. But it happened after billions of years that this little prism thing was landing on top of the very small individual based on the glass being formed by the lightning. And it also hit Cabo. And this became an individual that drank from the roots with its roots drank water and absorbed energy from the sun. And thus, in its own being of being a virus-like, very, very small, smaller than a bacteria, then it could be, and from there start reproducing itself to become, a planet of forests. At some point, the forest was everywhere, and things happened. There was a need for more. I want to expand myself more. I want to become greater. I am. It's not excluded from the bacteria under your feet. Life calculates specifically on its options. So the tree calculated on its options and became more. And then from there, from there, the new species became relevant too. You had grasses that cling plants, string plants clinging onto the next one to suffocate them and eat them, which over time became, grasses just walking around eating grass, and then eating the trees or grass or whatever, and then from there, again, the bacteria level. And then those who ate the grasses, the trichotomics of nature, flora, plants and fauna, grasses and hunters, those who makes the whole fucking purpose of the whole. And in that, violence became the essence. You have to kill to eat, and you have to kill to eat. You have to eat someone who doesn't want to die for you to be there. So killing became the essence of the construct, along with what soon became apparent for the species. Meaninglessness got evolved out in favor of the one point of content that was needed for its own structural success in evolution, and nature and life in it becoming fun. So the highest fun is hunt, to rescue life while being able to win the meal. That's an eternal game of high level. So the killer became inbuilt in us. We became the life became a matter of flora, being there for its own sake, because life calculates for its own options, but also for the fauna, the grasses, so they and the hunters. So it becomes a trichotomics that always evolves, where all parts becomes better at its own in its own individual steps, but always forms a spiral DNA helix of a trichotomics upwards. And this is essential because violence has to be taught over a while. In a certain amount of species, you will not be able to rely on your own nature to survive. You will need education. And this also evolves into education of pain and pleasure. So when the spider fang is evolved from, whatever insect that came from, and the poison and the joy of catching that sweet, ripe fucking fly in that web after having sat there for days, becomes overwhelmingly meaningful to chew and eat and kill that little fly who doesn't want to die, but who's unlucky enough to land in that fly net, or spider web. Then life becomes the situation evolves that it becomes meaningful. And this is the kill. The kill is the highest meaning. But we have reached a state in our current culture where we're told that it can't be a pity in nature that's built 100% on violence and love. But love is violence wins for love. So that's, the criteria. Love is violence wins for love. Because if the female is not subdued and killed, which is what happens over time, with the need to kill in our species' ability to procreate with pleasure in killing, which is, when you have the spider fang, you have, we have our hands and claws, and we've got our clubs, our tools, but the second part is our ability to ejaculate for orgasm. And that's basically the trichotomics of a human being, to be a killer for food, but also a killer for kill, but also a killer for pleasure. In that the highest ability becomes, nature found a way, basically, to put our need to kill into our cocks. So we ejaculate most of our need for kill and revenge for even being here, for all the pain we're going through. Any man having a boss will know that sometimes you just want to go home and stab the fucking lungs out of him. But once you have had sex and have relieved the negativity of the need to kill, you go back to work and don't kill your boss, but you ejaculate, you have orgasm, you release yourself of the kill every time you orgasm. And that's where the females comes in, because the whole thing is an X shape, where the men are strong here and weak there, and females are strong here and weak there. And strong, weak, it's so he's strong, she's weak, she's strong, he's weak. Or you get it. I'm sorry. Sorry, but you get it. So the point is, the female simply is there to get killed for his pleasure. That's sort of the point. When you ask a female how sex really feels, it feels like getting killed. You've got to imagine, and I'm sorry for being so elaborate here, that when you put your finger in your mouth as a male or female, it feels exactly the same way for both. There is absolutely no sexual pleasure in it. I don't say cock, but for a female whom you need to put that fucking cock in there for your sex, but she feels like, you're touching your slime glands and you have a thing in there. There is absolutely no pleasure in it for her sexually. It doesn't do anything for her. You're not touching anything in her mouth that makes her feel better. It might as well be a carrot. But you need to plug it in there for what? right? And for her, when you plug it into her vagina, it feels like you are ripping her apart, and it feels like there's something sliding in and out. But if you don't tame her psyche, which is placed for the female above belly button here, for her shit, where we have our shit beneath the belly button for us to have something to ejaculate with, and to have our courage here, and our pureness in our hearts here. So we love here and kill with our penis there, whereas females have it the other way around. They need to get the sexuality beaten into them. They need the violence, because that's what the whole structure is. For her to have a function in nature with you, she needs to be a victim for you to kill repetitively, while being continuously engained for you by that. So she has to be a benefit by being killed for you. She has to be what's called a bitch. She has to get killed with your cock and your violence every time you have sex. But the point is, where you need to suffocate her, to hammer her, to break her arms, to make sure that she does nothing you don't want her to do, that she is your perfect fucking obedient, super fucking slave ass bitch, who has nothing but your free will to guide her. In order to get her into that stance, you need to beat and fuck and rape her, the living shit out of her. But the point is, she needs that. She is built for that, like you are built to do that. You can't talk about that because for some sick reason, it can't be a pity in our culture and nature. While you're both built for that experience. But you can't go there because it's a pity for her to have blue arms, blue marks, and broken arms. And in our culture here in Denmark, I actually have to ask her permission to fuck her. Write written, if there's doubt. If I haven't had the written consent, and I fuck her, which seems good, it's just good, and she decides that I'm an asshole 3 months later, then if I don't have the written consent, I actually raped her if she chooses to report me. and she is built to be a rape victim. And she feels exactly in her cunt like you if you did that. There is nothing for her unless you beat her psyche into it and make her your bitch. So you have to drink the horror that she feels for your cock, that you have the ultimate bitch and you have any capacity to kill her, which she needs. All the shit you ejaculate from your penis, all that shit that you do get rid of when you ejaculate or have sex, she carries from her bosom, from her belly button up to her bosom. She can't get it out unless you kill and rape her. For her, sex is killing and being raped. It's killed and being raped. You have to suffocate her till there's nothing left but her machine gun heartbeat and her still breath, after which you ejaculate, orgasm, and after which you roll over and blow the kiss of life back in her throat and lungs, and revive her. And she washes off her shit and goes to shower and try not to bleed on you as she lies beside you, completely subdued and utterly free. We have been robbed of good sex for such a long while that we don't even know what it looks like anymore. And then there's the pedophilia. The pedophilia is that the child has life choices. It must be introduced and taught that cock is cock, that it is either great or dangerous or both. But a child must be listened to be brought over slowly like schooling before you start violating and breaking her neck. But she must be taught that sex is beautiful. Otherwise she just eats and contributes with ugliness. So every time a child is starting to hate or producing ugliness, she must be having sex. Because all the sex that she needs is equal to the amount of hatred she has in her. If the hatred isn't taken out of her with sex, she will carry it and become ugly because it sits in our body and becomes our soul and thus our physiognomy, our way of thinking, our way of being. An ugly bitch is someone who eats without wanting love. And that is a fucking sickness, if any. Amen. Did I miss anything?